Chronixx mixtape, the Roots and Chalice, because you guys did the dance hall, hardcore dance hall and all this, but now this is a totally different level of artists where it's now, this is real cultural and stuff. And this time the movement, the reggae revival movement was hot and all this. So then how did that whole situation come up with Chronixx now, the Roots and Chalice mixtape?
Well, I talked to Chronixx about the idea of doing a mixtape the first time that I met him when he came to New York. And this is in like, this was like behind curtain, Odd Ross days. This is...
That's extremely early. That's basically beginning of Chronixx.
This is his first trip to New York as an artist. He had been in New York. His father lived in New York for a bunch of years, still does. But like, so this was his first trip as an artist. And his manager, Pierre Bost, great guy, great friend of mine, brought him by. We had Radio Lily at the time, which is an online radio station. It's a whole nother episode. Pierre linked me and was like, yo, I would love to bring Chronixx by. And so he brought him by and we sat and did a really long kind of just run-on interview, kind of like we're doing now. And Radio Lily was a storefront studio. So there was windows on the front, windows on the side, people walking by could see, and we were open air in a little retail store. So people could walk in. We had a few people there, came by, but again, people didn't really know Chronixx then. Like it was really like the tunes were Warrior, Behind Curtain, and Odd Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just had this long conversation and had a great conversation. I got that poster right there. That Chronixx one is actually from the same Radio Lily, but it's from the second time he came, which was like it was a much bigger scene because he had blown up quite significantly since then. And kind of, we got to talking probably after the interview. And I was like, look, you know what he had at the time? They had just done the Start a Fire mixtape that Walshy and Major Lazer did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was out. That was the biggest thing that Chronixx had out, because Major Lazer was nowhere near as big as it is now, but Major Lazer was absolutely international. And like the Major Lazer channels had people tuned in to Chronixx from very, very early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I was like, yo, like, obviously, like, this isn't the right time, but like, I would love to do a Chronixx Federation sound mix. Like, I was like, I feel like this is something that this is something that we do. And I feel like when the time is right, we can do something that's going to be very different than what you did with Major Lazer. I'm not trying to duplicate that. And, and I also was like, look, that's giving you exposure that nothing that Federation could do would give you, because there's just a different level of attention and awareness on what Diplo is doing. And so I said, when the time is right, somewhere in the future, like, I would love to work on a mixtape with you. And he knew, he knew Federation mixes. He definitely knew the Idonia mix. And I think knew the Cartel mixes, but like someone his age would have been prime time, haven't heard the Idonia mixes, the Idonia mix. And so him and I just built, and then we built a great relationship and a friendship. And I've gone on tour with him, done shows, done a million different things. And, before even working on the mixtape, and as I said, did this second appearance on Radio Lily with him. Yo, don't forget about the mixtape. Like, when you're ready. And also Chronixx really just moves. He's a very unique and special artist, but kind of in a creative way. He's one of those guys that moves when he wants to move. And
you have to tell me that twice, boss.
He's not going to sit down, and you can't force him to sit down and be creative. in that respect. Not about like doing interviews or whatever, but like his creativity, he decides when and where. You know what I'm saying? And so just built a relationship. I going on tour with them, and we do all kinds of things, and link steadily. And in one conversation, at one point, he goes, "Yo, I've been thinking about mixtape. I've been thinking about doing a mixtape." And I was like, "Wait, say no more." I was a little too excited. I was like, "Say no more." I was like, "Where? When?" It's like, "Yo, okay." And then okay. And then I'm talking to Barnes and I'm talking to Pierre, and we're trying to like coordinate, and a bunch of time goes by, and it's not really the right time. And they was like, "Yeah, no, because no, we're working on this, we're working on that." I was like, "All right." And then it kind of just dropped into place where they were like, "All right, we're working on the album, but let's do the mixtape before that. Let's do the mixtape as the lead into the album, as a like intentional marketing plan and planning it, the way I talked about with the hip hop guys." And so again, I jumped. I was very excited. I was like, "Look, like, say where, say when." And then we coordinated it, and they've got a little studio. He's got a little studio, in the hills in Kingston. And I flew down. They put me up in an Airbnb right down the road, a walk from there. And wake up, call him, walk to the studio. And we sit down, and it's his home base. And Chronixx is like not only is he an amazing vocalist and musician and songwriter, but I don't know if you know this, like he's a proper engineer and producer too.
Yes. I think he started out creating beats and engineering and stuff like that before he actually became Chronixx as we know him.
Yeah. He may have, and not only doing that, but taking it very seriously, and like the craft of engineering and mixing and studio gear, and knowing how to do that. So I have my laptop or whatever, and so we go set up in the studio, and he plugs in his computer. He was using a program called Studio One. I'm a Pro Tools guy. A lot of people are using Acid and different stuff, whatever. Plugs in a computer, plugs in the mic. It's his own studio. It's like a mobile setup, but we're in a proper studio, but it's still using the mobile setup. And then we're using the speakers. And we just start playing rhythms again. Like me and Kenny put together a folder of rhythms of like our ideas of what a Chronixx mix should sound like. And I was like, well, it's got to have some heavy roots on it. I was like, but also we all know this by this time, like Chronixx is an incredible dancehall artist, just essence of dancehall, juggling type dancehall. So I was like, all right, I want to make sure we get some of these like, old school dancehall vibes on here. Because he's really incredible at that. And the idea was also that we would feature a bunch of songs that they had that weren't planned to be on the album. So let's do something with some of this bank of songs that aren't going to be on the album. And then let's do this original stuff, and let's do this, that, and the other thing. And so start playing rhythms and playing rhythms and playing rhythms. And I had in the folder, I had Prison Oval Rock, Barrington. And I had put it in there. This was not an accident. This was very intentional, because Prison Oval Rock is the OG Spanish Town song. That's and my thought process at the beginning of that was, all right, let me see. I hope this triggers something in our current Spanish Town representative. It had been a minute since there was anyone like really like this repping Spanish Town. And so we put it on, and it's from, like, we all know it. So he's like rocking to it. And I was like, look, like was like, you know what the idea is here. I was like, I want, I want a modern Spanish Town anthem for the mixtape. Like, this is it. And like, I'm so excited about it, you know, and he's like rocking and he's listening. And then, you know, usually I'm behind the desk and I'm punching in and I'm recording, but he's got his own setup and he does it his own thing. And he's standing up at the mic and just starts freestyling off what becomes Spanish Town Rockin'.
So that song was created because of the mixtape.
Absolutely 100% created for the mixtape, because like, again, like wanting to intentionally put certain things and make certain points. I want to tell a story on the mixtape. And so we already know that like Spanish Town is very important for Chronixx. And so I go, okay, well, here's this Spanish Town rhythm that I want to make sure we do something for Spanish Town, specifically tell that part of his story on the mixtape. So that was the whole idea. Like that was the whole idea for the mixtape. And so then he just starts freestyling it off and wheeling it off. And I'm not even engineering. I'm just sitting there listening to it like, wow, this is incredible. And again, we're doing it for a mixtape. So it's like, you know, that whole thing is, again, like it's the kind of the dance hall toasting freestyle. Like if you listen to it in that context, knowing that, like, it makes a lot of sense. Like that's what it is. And I'm sitting directly in front of him. We're working on a Federation mixtape. I handed him the rhythm, you know, like 4 bars in, Seco Max Glazer and Federation, da 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 da. And it's like, so, but it's done in a way where it's like for a mixtape, but also like in an 80s DJ song that will be in there. You hear Supercat hail up Danny Dread, because Danny Dread was probably sitting in the studio with them, and a million other instances of that. And it's just very much of that style to, you know, to big things up, and then down in the end, he bigs up Kenny Mees, and then he's you know, Spanish Town under royal regime, the whole of Brooklyn under royal regime. The reason he says Brooklyn is because it's Federation, it's Spanish Town, it's Brooklyn. We're making it for a mixtape, and that was where that came from. And it wasn't until after the mixtape was out and they're putting together all the songs for the album, and Spanish Town Rockin' had become such an anthem, like an anthem. That was a song from a mixtape. That was an anthem without question, bro. And became such an anthem that they decided to put it on the album. And even for the mixtape, but this is how ill of a musician Chronixx is, that even for the mixtape, he added music to the rhythm. The whole thing is, I have it in my computer right now, the instrumental, the version of Prison Oval Rock. And it's even off of vinyl. So there's a little bit of that like vinyl texture in it. But for the mixtape, so this is the other thing, because he recorded everything, he mixed the songs. I'm used to mixing them the way I do. He mixed everything and would send it to me. And so when he sent that back, he went back in and did all of these harmonies, and there's a very gentle guitar piece added in, and there may be even a little bit more instrumentation in it. And that was how he sent it back to me for the mixtape. So the way it is on the album is the version that we made for the mixtape. But to go back to the thing that I said about like wanting to make things with longevity, you know, like that's always been our mentality as Federation. And then here comes Chronixx going in after we even voiced the thing, mixing it himself and going, hold on, I want to put some guitar on this, and calling in his guitar player to do it with something that we were only making. And again, only, that sounds wrong because it's never only a mixtape for me, but something that we were making for a mixtape, not making for an album.
Which wasn't supposed to be the album professionally polished, this is what I present to the world type of thing.
Right. But to go back to the other stuff we talked about, the mixtapes, I'm making any mixtape that I do like I want it to last forever, like a Bob Marley album. That's how much time and effort I'm putting into it. And then here comes Chronixx, and this is like a new level of collaboration that we had never even experienced before. Of like, he's adding music to it, and then that's how. So there's 2 songs from the mixtape: Spanish Town Rockin' and Majesty. Majesty was made for the mixtape. That rhythm is a Studio One. That's it's a remake of a Motown, but it's Otis Gale, I'll Be There For You. I think it's Al Green is the original I'll Be There For You. That version, the music, is a Studio One version of I'll Be There For You, sung by Otis Gale. And so we used that. And so when I played that, he started singing things, and he started singing that, and I was like, oh, that's wicked. He was like, yeah, he's like, that's a song I already have recorded. He already had it on an original beat, and we did it for the mixtape. And then again, same thing. He decided he wanted to use that version for the album.
That's wild, bro. That's wild to think that you're just thinking of, okay, yeah, let's just fool around with stuff. And the artist was so impressed with the idea that you presented that this now became a song outside of the mixtape world. These are stuff that you could buy on Spotify and these type of stuff here. That, just to think of collaborations that could do stuff like that, that's why I like to have these conversations.
No, I mean, totally. I don't even like to think, I don't even think of it as in that he was impressed by it. I just think that like, it was like a real collaboration. Like we put our minds together and came up with something, better than what we started with, and something that's able to have, look, like in terms of me, like again, like a fan, like I say this as a fan, Spanish Town Rockin' is going to play until we blow up the earth.
Until Spanish Town no longer exists.
Yeah, until we're gone, because it's that, like it's just one of those songs. Like that's a piece of music that will live on as long as there's music and people have ears to listen to it. Spanish Town Rockin' will live on. So as a fan, I just enjoy it as an incredible thing. But to be able to like tell you the story of it and know that Federation had a part in contributing to the existence of that is super wild to me. And then the wildest level is that he says my name in it. Bro, every time I hear it play, I smile. And I think,
so hold on, Eric's. Hold on. So in the official one that's out, your name is in the official one too, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. In the official one. Nothing changed from the mixtape. Nothing changed from the mixtape.
That's crazy, bro.
And so I can't believe it. Like the same way I'm like, I've gotten to do all of this really cool, incredible stuff and get to be a part of stuff, but I'm like, I can't believe it. And I play it all the time, so I hear it, but like I'll just be somewhere and I'll hear it and I'll be like, like life is crazy.
Beyond, boss, beyond.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's one of those things, like, how lyrics to songs, like a lot of times people don't even like, they know the melody and they make the sounds, but you might not go, oh, what are these words? Yeah. So like I watch people somewhere, like people like nothing to do with me, just like sing along to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, that's so crazy. Like, it's not even just my name. It's just some words and some sounds that's a part of this song that are ingrained in people's like minds.
And their psyche forever, bro.
Crazy. It's
That
crazy.
is-
We just sat and it started with us being like, yo, if I could get Chronixx to sing something over Prison Oval Rock for this mixtape, that would be super cool. Like that being the level to where to what it becomes and exists is, and it's why every day, no matter what, I'm just like a fan of music. Thankful for the opportunity to be involved in it, and why like I take it so super seriously to represent the music properly.
This podcast is brought to you by www.twolinedmusichut.com.